Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about uh, propaganda that's being put about across the media and indeed on the business media sites as well, about how it's never been worse for women who are being sexually harassed and wolf whistled and being subject to lewd utterances and comments, and being randomly asked to indulge in sexual acts out in public. So this is supposed to be going on in the street, in the supermarket, out in the front yard, in the workplace, everywhere. There is nowhere where it isn't happening and pandemic proportions. No woman is safe. You know, 100-year-old granny with the walking frame is being sexually harassed by young men eager to engage in the Congress of the Antelope. And look, that again, no woman is safe. So it's time that the government stepped in and took stern measures. We're surrounded by fucking Nazi fascists everywhere, and the government needs to come in to stop these brutes from sexually molesting and harassing innocent, sweet little waif-like little girlies. I thought a putty cat. Now, let's just sort of put this in some perspective. Who's putting around this propaganda? Well, it's coming from, you know, all the usual suspects, but the government agencies, the media, you know, they're all running, you know, to the same script. So someone has sent out the talking points. We got to talk about this. We've got to create more social division. So the three sort of rift valleys of social division. Well, race, of course, they're always, you know, that's always a great one to flog. Gender, great stuff. You want to destabilize society, go for the women first and say, you'd all be presidents of the bank with shitloads of money and Brad Pitt as a boyfriend. So those damn fucking fascist Nazi Hitlers that are holding you back. They're the ones that are doing. It's not the fact you're lazy, dumb, stupid, and so on. Nothing to do with it. It's them. They're the ones holding you back. If we get rid of them, you can have everything. And the third one, of course, sexuality, you know, the transgender and LGBTQ and all that sort of stuff. Those are the three sort of fault lines of the globalists and their propaganda flunkies in the media, and also the political class, again, totally owned by the globalists. This is what they're doing to destabilize Western society. Not doing it to other societies, by the way, just Western society. Which is why they hate Putin, because Putin won't fall for any of that crap, which is why they're desperate to crush him. But let's have a look at this. You know, I've seen some, it's even appearing on business websites. You know, apparently in the workplace, women are being sexually harassed more than ever before. It's never been worse. So after decades upon decades of feminist education in the schools and the colleges, constantly being subject to just barraging of propaganda, somehow it's just got worse and worse and worse and worse. There are now more women being harassed than ever before, even though the worst time of it was supposed to be in the 60s and 70s, but somehow it's way worse now, even though all the boys have been subject to endless feminized education. I wonder how that works out. Anyway, who cares about the fucking facts? We're talking about propaganda here and good emotional heartstring pulling. And women love the idea of, or many women, not all, love the idea of, that's right, I am a victim. Too fucking right. That's why my life is miserable, because I'm a fucking victim and I need big, hairy-chested He-Man government to come in and save me. Just like I go, you know, I can find some really big, super muscly, huge guy and get him to beat up any other guy I want him to. He's like mine. I totally control. I'll say, go and beat up that guy over there. He looked at me the wrong way and he just go and kick the shit out of him. That's the sort of thing I like. That makes me feel important and makes my life be worthwhile. So anyway, we've got this epidemic of harassment, and sexual harassment, sexual repression, call it what you like. But you look at whatever studies there are, and they're certainly vague. This is a lot of these activists are just asserting it. So, well, we know it to be true. That's it. And if you disagree with, you're a fucking fascist Hitler Nazi. Now, if you do find any sort of alleged studies, you find that they're being done by, angry lesbian gender studies academics, and it's all anecdotal. And we interviewed 100. They claim they interviewed 100 women in the workforce that said they were being raped 1,000 times a day. So there you go. That's all we need. It's a huge problem. Government action required. Now, obviously, the body politic is wanting this. They want that propaganda to be out there, because then that justifies them taking action, action that they'd intended to take anyway, because it's a great way to crush straight white males. Which brings me to the next stage. Every propaganda image, every single one that I saw, had a straight white male as the perpetrator. So the least likely to be the perpetrator is the one they're highlighting. So really, we can fix this problem of sexual harassment assigned to women if only we can control straight white men. They are the ones and the only ones that must change their behaviour. Straight white males must change their behaviour. Them, they're the ones. Is it any other race or group? No, them. Straight white males. And if we can control them and stop them from doing all these fascist Nazi Hitler things, then everything will be fine. But they've been trying to do this, or so they claim, for 50 years. They're trying to solve a problem that, of course, doesn't exist, nor did it ever exist. I'm sure in a population of 26 million, they can find an example somewhere, but does that mean it's a societal problem or endemic or systemic? No, of course it doesn't. What nonsense. Every other group of men, whether it be the islanders, the folks from the Middle East, also people from the subcontinent, they're all far more likely to do this sort of stuff. Still not at epidemic proportions, but far more likely to do it than straight white males will ever be. So, but all the propaganda posters that I've seen, it's always a straight white male. Now, the other thing that's also observed in the propaganda is that it's typically a young, under the age of 30, typically a young, very good looking, very fit young woman, dressed, in like very tight clothes, lycra, tight jeans, a tight top, a bit of a plunging neckline, that sort of thing, but very good looking. She's sort of close to fashion model material. Now, women who are in that age group and who are that good looking and that fit that they could wear those sort of sexy clothes, and I think any objective view of someone like that would say, gee, they're good looking, they're really sexy. Same as you'd say, a woman would say, well, Brad Pitt's good looking, or he's sexy, or something. It's that sort of thing. But how many people are that fit, that young, and that sexy? What out of every 100, every 1,000 women? What are we talking about? 2 or 3 or something? There'd be very few. I went down to the beach with some friends and family, and we were kind of having a picnic on the beach, that sort of thing. It was a hot day. I mean, gee whiz, I reckon even with walking around in bathing costumes, there'd be of the many hundreds, if not more than 1,000 that went by, I doubt there was even 2 or 3 that I'd describe. Wow, she's good looking, or she's fit and good looking. So the amount of people that fit into that category, is very few. It's a tiny percentage. So the depiction of the incredibly good looking, fit, wearing very tight clothing woman, there just aren't many of them around. I mean, they're very rare. So the idea that it's a widespread problem is just absurd, because there aren't that many good looking women. Now, on the other side of it, are we expected to believe that men are wolf whistling and catcalling and making lewd suggestions to women that are very unattractive, or who are very unfit? I mean, it's not very likely. I suppose it's possible, but it's not very likely, and it's very unlikely it would come from white guys too. So maybe folks from the subcontinent, the islander type guy, Pacific Islander, that sort of thing, that's possible. the idea of becoming from white guys, no, I just don't buy it for a minute. Now, one activist, well-known activist in this space, she was doing a TV interview, and the interviewer didn't challenge her on anything, by the way. Any point of assertion she made was just taken as fact and gospel, which is just ridiculous. But she claimed that she'd been sexually harassed half a dozen times that day or that week or the previous day, whenever it was. And when you actually, so I thought, that is bullshit. I mean, she was the blue and green haired, very lesbian looking, maybe 155 centimeters, 5 foot 2 inches tall, and about 5 foot 2 inches wide. There's a lot of burgers with extra cheese and chocolate cake and everything that's gone into that diet. Pasty face. I mean, there was nothing attractive about her at all. And when you go to her website, what she did was she and you got to remember 5 foot 2 inches wide. She put on fishnet stockings and a G-string with a top, and then walked up and down a street that's full of men who are in it's a men's hostel for intellectually challenged men who are recovering from alcoholism, that sort of thing. These are Skid Row type guys, and they sit outside during the day, and they're given meals at lunchtime. So she fronts at lunchtime when they're out there having their lunch. A lot of guys out there, and she walks. It's a 100-meter long stretch of street, for example. She walks up and down it four times in that outfit. Remember, a G-string with her size, a G-string, and yes, some guys were calling out to her, not because I think they wanted to engage in an intimate act, but rather that they were amazed that someone of those physical proportions would walk around with a G-string and fishnet stockings. So she recorded this, and she claims that she got 6 whistles or catcalls or vulgar vulgar utterances, and there you go. That's the proof. That's look, women are in danger everywhere. Now, to say that some sort of anecdotal or otherwise, to say that some sort of meaningful study or sample or anything like that is just beyond ridiculous. But again, the interviewer never challenged her on it. She's able to assert it with impunity and make out like it was some terrible widespread problem. But coming more to the reality of things, I think we can safely say that above average attractive women who are wearing short dresses, tight shorts, plunging necklines, that sort of thing, are more likely to get attention than other people. But there are very few of them, and some of them ask for trouble. There was a company I worked at. I was the EVP, and a couple of one of the admin girls who used to wear very short dresses and fancied herself as being super sexy. She would even sort of have photographs of herself going out night clubbing wearing a bikini and things like that. And she would, when we had some workmen coming in doing something on the roof or the ceiling, and she made a point. I could see this down the aisleway from where my office was, and she made a point of walking up and down past these workmen, knowing that they were looking at her and salivating, and she was getting off on it, until one of them, who was a bit retarded, one of them, he did come out with an inappropriate comment, hey, you got a great ass, or so, something like that. And it wasn't a hanging offence, but inappropriate. But she went to her boss. She pretended to be wounded and a victim. She went to her boss, who was a woman. They came to me demanding action. Get those guys out of here. Take them out back and shoot them, and this sort of thing. And now I'd seen her parading up and down past, I knew she'd baited them. And I even saw the look on her face as she was doing it. And so I reminded her, why were you walking up and down like that? especially in that provocative, I'm on a catwalk type thing. And then she tried to deny it. Oh, I had things to do. No, I didn't. No, they didn't give me that. That's for you. You're full of shit. You did that purposely to bait those guys. You knew they were looking at you. You loved every minute of. And one of them puts a word out of place, and then you're a crying little victim. No, you can't have it both ways. Don't give me that. And so now the inappropriate comment was inappropriate. So I did say to them, hey, guys, you need to really keep those thoughts and those utterances to yourself while you're here, and please don't say anything to the female staff unless it's directly related to the business you're about. So I did say that, but reminded her, no, she'd set that whole thing up. Don't give me this victim crap. So anyway, that's the thing. But we're in an epidemic or a pandemic of sexual harassment. Now, coming to the wolf whistling and this sort of thing, I haven't heard a wolf whistle since I was a teenager. So, we're talking more than 30 years ago. That's how long ago it was. So I think it demonstrates how, these old lesbians remember the, years ago when those things did happen, and they're trying to pretend that they're fighting the battles of decades ago. And I can't imagine someone wolf whistling today. Maybe it happens, maybe it's around. You see things like a football matches, people, baseball matches, whatever, people doing those loud whistles. I never mastered that, incidentally, but I don't believe it happens. I think the whole thing is being invented and whipped up into a frenzy by activists who just want to create more social division. I don't believe it's happening at all. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.